After getting injured in the first series of Week 1, Xavier Worthy made his return to the field Week 4 against the Ravens, and the offense looked downright explosive. Let's take a look at several plays with Worthy on the field to see if we can better describe the impact he's having on this offense. So we're going to start with 7:58 to go in the first quarter. The Chiefs are down 7-0, and they're facing a 4th down and 2 at the Ravens' 45-yard line. Patrick Mahomes is in the shotgun, and he's in empty. He's got Pacheco to his left. Kelsey motions over and comes back over to the right, so he's got 4 on the right. He takes the snap and rolls right. A quick throw to Worthy for a first down, a gain of about 4 yards. So let's take a look at this play. Like we mentioned, Mahomes essentially has 4 on his right. That includes his tight end, and on the left side, he just has Isaiah Pacheco, the running back. So this is 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and then in the slot, he's got Tyquan Thornton. Outside of him, he's got Xavier Worthy, and then far wide is Juju Smith-Schuster. So what the Chiefs are going to run here, they're going to send Thornton down on a corner pattern. They're going to have Juju Smith-Schuster run a slant, but really it's just a pick route. And Xavier Worthy is going to come up, and it's all a timing pattern here. He's going to time with Juju Smith-Schuster right as Juju's coming across. He's going to stutter and then come out and rub by Smith-Schuster's shoulder to try to create a natural pick. Make his defender have to come over the top of it, allow him the space for a quick reception so that he can get the first down. So the Ravens here are just playing cover 1 man, right? They've got 1 deep safety, and then you see we've just got man-to-man coverage here. So really Mahomes' options are, number 1 is what he wants is Worthy, the quick out, to see if he can get that open on the pick play. Then he's probably going to see if Worthy gets covered during the pick, did they leave Juju? And then he's probably going to look for the corner pattern to Tyquan Thornton as his last resort. So let's look here at how Juju comes in, and it's always Juju, right? Juju Smith-Schuster's doing the little things, getting guys open. So watch how he comes and he settles, and Worthy comes right across it. And what it does is it forces Marlon Humphrey, Worthy's defender, to come right over the top, and that creates enough separation that Worthy's open for a catch and can turn upfield enough to make sure he gets the first down. And it's Juju's attention to detail and then the timing that when he sets up with Worthy. So look at Worthy. He's going to come to try to set up his defender, and then boom, that left foot right there, the sudden step, push out quick, and right at that time, Juju has his position. Juju does a great job of not actually running into the defender, because if you run into the defender as if you're blocking him or impeding his path, not just running a route, that will be a penalty if it's outside of 1 yard from the line of scrimmage. Within a yard of the line of scrimmage, you are allowed to block as a receiver. But Juju doesn't risk anything. He just comes and turns around. He's done his job here. Humphrey has to bubble around. It's really kind of Juju's defender that helps set the pick too. And Worthy's there for the speed out, gets his first down. And this is a play, this kind of concept is what the Chiefs used to do with Tyreek Hill all the time. When they had a 4th and short situation, they would just try to sprint out Mahomes and get Hill moving laterally quickly, sometimes with or without a pick, depending on the coverage. You can trust a guy like Juju to come in, but when you have a guy like this was something that, Hollywood Brown wasn't nearly this adept at doing this. This is just easy yardage when you have a guy like Worthy. Makes a catch, gets a first down. So very nice to have a guy like him back. Opens up these kinds of plays, which have really been a staple of the Chiefs' offense since they had Tyreek Hill around. And now they've transitioned over to Worthy. Same play we can see from this side. You see Mahomes with the sprint out action. He's just looking straight at Worthy on the out. That quick move by Worthy and the great pick by Juju make this an easy first down for the Chiefs. We pick things up with 1:05 to go in the first quarter. The Chiefs are down 7-3, and they have a 2nd and 8 at their own 18-yard line. Mahomes is in the shotgun with 2 receivers to his left, 2 tight ends to his right, and Kareem Hunt in the backfield with him. He's got Xavier Worthy motioning from the left to the right, and he's got a defender coming with him. Mahomes drops back in the gun, throws it deep down the right side to Xavier Worthy, who makes the catch for a gain of about 37 on a field flipping play. So let's take a look at what happened. We've got Kareem Hunt as the lone running back, and we've got 2 tight ends, Noah Gray and Travis Kelce, giving us 12 personnel, 1 running back and 2 tight ends. Tyquan Thornton is up on the line of scrimmage, and Xavier Worthy is off. Worthy then motions over, and he gets Marlon Humphrey running with him, which is a pretty good tell for man. At least your pre-snap read would be that this is probably man. In that case, we've got 1 safety showing deep, so this looks like cover 1, where you anticipate you're going to have 1 guy deep, somebody responsible for a lower zone or for blitzing, and then you're going to have man coverage across the board. So the Chiefs' route combination here, they're going to have Thornton come and run a deep dig. Noah Gray is going to help with blocking and come out into the flat. Travis Kelce is going to run an out, and Xavier Worthy is going to run a go route. The Ravens do play man coverage, and they play cover 1, but it's a little creative. As you can see at the snap, Roquan Smith is coming in, so it looks like a blitz, but it's actually what we would call a simulated pressure, because the Ravens are still going to rush 4. They're going to drop back this player here. So they still only have 4 in the pass rush. They just have a different 4 than what you would initially think. Additionally, you have one of Kyle Hamilton, or probably 40 here, is responsible for Kareem Hunt. And they kind of see him hang back in protection initially, so 40 also becomes an unburdened defender, just kind of hang out in the zone. So they've got 2 people hanging back because Kareem Hunt doesn't immediately release for a pass pattern. But everybody else has manned up, and you can see teams have been doing this. If you've been following the film review so far this year, teams have been challenging the Chiefs. So we're just going to keep 1 safety back. We're going to come up to the line of scrimmage, and we're going to challenge your guys to beat us. And the one guy that has been able to beat them and make them pay a little bit has been Tyquan Thornton. On this play here, though, what the Chiefs look to be doing is I think they want Thornton's route to be coming into the middle in order to keep the safety's attention, prevent the safety from rolling over to Worthy's side. Thornton actually struggles a little bit with contact and isn't able to get his route into the middle of the field for a minute. He's fighting through contact here as the defender is inside, maintaining inside leverage and making it hard for him to get back in over the middle of the field. However, it doesn't really matter because the safety stays in between the hashes the whole time. He doesn't really lean over to Worthy's side, so Worthy ends up with one-on-one situation. And as you know, he will just run by people in that situation, and that's what he does here. He actually takes some contact from Marlon Humphrey, does a good job of running right through it, and brushing Humphrey off with his left arm and getting down the field. And look at that separation. Good throw from Mahomes. Good ball tracking by Worthy. You can see him. This is the big difference when people want to talk about the Mahomes deep ball over the past couple of years. One of the big things was, look at the trajectory here. Look at the way that Worthy's running. Now look at the adjustment he makes, changing his trajectory to track the ball in the air. This is something that, unfortunately, receivers like Mecole Hardman, it just was not his strength. And so you'd see a lot of balls like this falling complete. That's why I harp on all the time. Deep ball passing is partially or largely a receiver stat too. They have to be able to track the ball because it's hard to throw accurate passes. When Mahomes is standing back at the 8-yard line here and the ball is going to land at the 49, this ball is going 41 yards in the air. It's hard to hit an exact spot, hit somebody in stride, especially if you don't know exactly how their release is going to be, where they're going to hit contact. So Worthy's ability here, not just to run by a defender when there's no safety over the top, but also to adjust his trajectory, track this ball, and make the catch, is a huge boon to this offense. Now we'll see it from the end zone view. Mahomes sends Worthy over in motion, and you can see Humphrey following. There's the blitz from Roquan, and you can see number 90 fall back. And then look at Mahomes' eyes, about how he keeps his eyes down the middle of the field. That's one reason why the safety never left between the hash marks until Mahomes made this throw. Then he turns over and makes his throw. So he does a good job with his eyes. You can see the safety right here in the middle of the field. He does a good job hanging his eyes toward the middle, not selling that he's going over there, and then throwing right at the last minute. And again, you can see the beginning. In the beginning, Worthy still has a little more vertical tilt, and then you can see him track the ball, look at him go out toward the sideline and make that grab. It's a great job by Worthy and a huge dimension that he brings to this offense. So we pick things up with 6:47 to go in the second quarter. The Chiefs are down 7-6, and they're starting a drive with 1st and 10 at their own 44-yard line. Mahomes is under center with Kareem Hunt behind him. He's got 2 to his left and 2 to his right. Sends Noah Gray in motion, fakes a handoff, and gives it to Worthy on an end around. Worthy cuts it upfield and ends up taking a huge chunk of yardage, finally getting out of bounds at the 22-yard line of Baltimore. So let's take a look at this play and see what happened. It was a very nicely designed play. So here we really are in what you would call 12 personnel. There's one running back, that's Kareem Hunt, and the tight ends are Noah Gray and Mike Caliendo, the 6th offensive lineman. So he's come in, reported eligible, and is a tight end on this play. And then the 2 wide receivers are Juju Smith-Schuster on the left and Xavier Worthy on the right. So the way that this is blocked up is they have Noah Gray coming over to the right, and they're making it look like this is kind of a lead play over to the right. They're pulling Kingsley. And pulling Kingsley, they've got Noah Gray leading, and they're just going to hand this over to Kareem Hunt. So that's how the play is designed to look. And you look at how the Ravens are playing this. First of all, 99 doesn't seem to be at all interested in contain here. He's getting washed over. There isn't really a contained defender here either. As you see, there's a 24 is also eyes over to all the action to the offense's right. So nobody is here looking to contain any possible reverse action back this way. So the eye candy worked very well in this play with the pulling Kingsley coming around here. And then as you get Kingsley pulling, Noah Gray coming in, then from the backside, you get Mike Caliendo, who's the tight end over here. He's going to come and leak through all of this. And the other person that's going to come and leak through is Josh Simmons. So if you notice, Josh Simmons is coming, blocking down, and they're really like allowing this edge defender to be put into conflict. They're trusting Worthy to come around. Although if you see Creed kind of steps back and helps wall him off, but there isn't somebody like immediately coming to attack. So if he had wanted to, he could have come straight down to try to contain. But he's worried about the run action on the other side. The Chiefs are trusting him to get sucked into the action over there, and that's exactly what happened. But as Josh Simmons blocks down here, he's going to leak out, and so is Mike Caliendo. And so if we're going to watch them real quick, Caliendo and Simmons get out to the second level. Trey Smith also does, but he kind of loses his balance and stumbles. And so there's a little bit of a convoy waiting for Worthy as he takes this handoff and comes around the other end. Not impeded at all by a contained defender, so he's got a full head of steam. And then block here by Caliendo. Josh Simmons blocks here, and 2 key blocks out in space. They both did a really good job that allows Worthy to cut this back inside and really, get another, how much? 5, 10, 15, 20. He got almost, close between 20 and 25 yards because of these 2 linemen out here blocking downfield. So really a great job. And just look at the speed. Once Worthy gets this, he is moving. And really, if It was an extremely heads-up play by Roquan Smith, who, honestly has wheels of his own to make sure that his angle didn't get erased by someone as fast as Worthy. He did a good job of maintaining a good angle and forcing Worthy over to the sideline. But Smith had kind of initially come and gotten washed in to the run action, and he IDs the reverse right here and just really gets on his horse and does a great job of getting all the way back. Trey Smith tried to impede him. If Trey Smith that makes this block is able to stop Roquan, Worthy might have gone for a touchdown. As if you eliminate Roquan Smith here from this picture. Now, Nate Wiggins is really fast, and so I'm guessing he takes an angle that will probably make it hard for Worthy to score, but without Roquan, Worthy doesn't have to angle this run nearly as much. He can try to take it a little bit more before Nate Wiggins would force him to angle it, and then it makes you wonder how far he would have gotten. You think at least he could have challenged getting to the 10-yard line, if not scoring, but really, really heads up and great effort play from Roquan Smith, going all the way from being sucked into the run action over here to getting to force Worthy out of bounds before he can cross the 20-yard line. But again, the speed of Worthy, it's just a different dimension to this offense. This threat opens so many things up, and his ability to just navigate, it's just effortless speed. But you really got to credit these two blocks by Caliendo and Simmons getting downfield and making sure that this run can go from a good play to a truly explosive play. And now we get a better appreciation for the kind of the eye candy of the initial run. So you see the line blocking down, and then you've got the pulling action, the counter pull from Noah Gray coming across, and I drew it on Simmons, but it's Kingsley. And look at what it does to the front of the Ravens. Look at everybody getting sucked in. These are your two guys that are responding. One of these guys has to maintain contain. And they both just get sucked inside. At this point, it's too late. They're not going to out-leverage Worthy. Nobody stays at home. 40 gets pulled all the way over. You can see Roquan initially getting pulled in too. Everybody is feeding off this initial run action, a good fake from Mahomes, and then Worthy's off to the races. And again, look at Caliendo getting this space, sealing this off. Look at Josh Simmons. So athletic. And this is Kyle Hamilton that he's going out and blocking. And that's it. This is, just to get on my soapbox, this is one thing that frustrates me a lot about how blocking, and especially for the Chiefs, blocking by Kelsey is generally talked about. Look what Simmons does here. That's all you have to do. You don't have to pancake a guy. You don't have to do anything special. You just have to impede him from getting your ball carrier. That is a good block. It doesn't have to, when people do a lot of comparisons about Kelsey's blocking, look, it doesn't have to be aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't have to be a dominating block. A good block is a block that prevents your defender from making a play. And that's what Simmons did there. That's a good block. And then, again, much credit to Roquan Smith. And, Nate Wiggins is fast. I don't know that he would have let Worthy score, but he really would have gotten even farther downfield if not for the efforts of Roquan Smith there. But you can see, we've had several examples now about how the speed of Worthy and the kind of quick twitch ability of Worthy has made a huge difference in this offense. So we pick things up with 1:20 to go in the first half. The Chiefs are up 20-7. And they've got first down and 10 at the Baltimore 47-yard line. Mahomes is in the shotgun with Pacheco next to him. He's got two to his left, two to his right. Takes the snap and throws a quick pass left to Xavier Worthy, who makes him 1 and 2 men miss before going down for a gain of about 9 yards. So, why is this play here? Well, I think the first thing to note is the difference in coverage that we're seeing here. Now, part of that is we're in 2-minute drill time, but part of it is how the Ravens have been kind of challenged in more intermediate and deep areas through this game. And so suddenly we went from, we saw a lot of cover one man coverage in the first 3 games, and we saw an example of that already in this game. Suddenly we've got split field safeties off coverage. This actually pre-snap looks kind of like cover 4 or maybe just a very soft cover 2. Ends up really being a cover 4, but that off coverage is something that teams have not been playing as much. You know, the Chiefs got a reputation of seeing that a lot starting in 2021, but starting in 2023, 24, not so much because the Chiefs didn't have people to challenge deep. Well, this is the Worthy effect. You know, you see him starting to make plays down the field, threaten down the field, force teams, you know, or I should say gain explosive plays, then suddenly teams play off, and that opens up a lot more for you. So on this play with the Ravens here, and look at their linebackers dropping back, they've got the 4 deep shell, and then suddenly there's more room underneath. What the Chiefs do is they run Juju on an in-cutting route, Travis Kelce on an in-cutting route, and Hollywood on a deep route. And so what they're doing is they're taking these second-level defenders and forcing them back. And with Worthy, they just have him run like a little in and out, you know, call that a whip route. You just come out, take a step in, and then come back out. And with the soft coverage, it really ends up being like a one-on-one isolation for him as the other zone defenders are all backpedaling. So the threat of the deep pass and Worthy's overall effect on this defense is that suddenly they're having to backpedal and they're opening up areas underneath. So Worthy, open, easy completion. He's able to make a man miss and then another and turn it into 9 yards. And suddenly things just get a lot easier for your offense. When you have guys that aren't beating man coverage and they're able to press tight, keep everybody in, it makes it hard for you to get guys open. But when you have that deep threat, you force defenses back. It allows you to take some of these shallow underneath things that the Chiefs have gotten very good at taking in the last couple years. It just gives you easier options. And you can see it from the end zone view. Look at the snap. Immediately we've got backpedaling from the second level defenders. Kelce's challenging deep. And Mahomes gets this out quickly. And then look at Worthy. I mean, look at the athleticism. Ability to cut, make guys miss. It's just a new dimension in this offense that they didn't have without him. So we move ahead to 14:02 to go in the third quarter. At this point, the Chiefs are up 20-10, and they've got a 1st and 10 at their own 45-yard line or so. Mahomes is in the shotgun. He's got 2 receivers to the right, 2 to the left, and Pacheco's with him in the backfield. Travis Kelce moves in tight on the left side. Mahomes hands it off to Pacheco, goes up the middle for a gain of 12, keeping the chains moving. So what happened on this play, and what does it have to do with Xavier Worthy? Well, the Chiefs are out here in 11 personnel. 1 running back is Isaiah Pacheco. The 1 tight end is Travis Kelce. Worthy is lined up wide right over here. So the first thing is a continuation from the last clip that we showed, is I want you to look at the safeties and defensive backs in general. We've got another cover 4 shell. So they're really starting to respect the deep pass. This is a 1st down. So with these 4 back, and then you've got a slot defender here, you really only have 6 run defenders, 6 in the box. It's considered a light box in the NFL and a favorable box to run in. So again, with defenses respecting the speed of the Chiefs more, you're going to get more opportunities underneath and for easy yardage. And in this case, the Chiefs come out in what looks like pass personnel with 3 wide receivers. They come out in shotgun, and they run right at the Ravens. So Kingsley Suamataia pulls, Travis Kelce follows him into the hole, and they run at the light box and get everything blocked up. A couple things to note here. First of all, for all of those who like to critique Kelce's blocking, he's the guy that hits the man in the hole, number 40 at the point of attack, and look at the block. Takes him, pancakes him. Just a devastating block at the point of attack that really sprung this run. the key block in the hole. And then the second thing to note is another major block here, this time from Hollywood Brown, who comes in, gets inside leverage on his defender and makes another block that just Pacheco then can scamper untouched. He really gets about 10 yards before anybody lays a hand on him. Kyle Hamilton looks like the first guy to ever touch him. So beautifully blocked play. Huge props to Kelsey for the dominating block right here. Also huge props to Hollywood Brown for this block on the defensive back. But it all starts with the light box created by the respect now that the Ravens have for the chance of the Chiefs beating them deep. Playing shell coverage, and that prevents them from getting that extra man in the box. Really, like a lot of teams have been playing, when that safety comes down, you can get 8 in the box reliably. In this case, there were only 6. The Chiefs took advantage and got a big run for a first down. So the effects of Xavier Worthy are multifaceted. You not only get the big plays, but what it does to the ways that teams play coverage against you, it opens up your offense. And that's what we were really seeing from the Chiefs here. But let's take another opportunity to enjoy this. So Kingsley's going to come to pull first and seal off the end. Travis Kelce comes behind him, and he's going to hit the linebacker in the hole. So there's Kingsley, and then number 40 comes in to try to fill the hole, and look at Kelce's block right here. There, just takes him right down, and then Hollywood Brown makes the other great block right here. You can see him coming in on this side of your screen. Great block from Hollywood. Big run from Pacheco. These are the kinds of things that are more possible when you've got a guy like Worthy on the field. So we move to the very next play. So same game situation. Chiefs are up 20-10 in the third quarter. They now have a 1st and 10 at about the Ravens' 44-yard line. Mahomes is in shotgun again. He's got 3 to the right. Worthy isolated on the left. He drops back, throws it left to Worthy, who makes the catch at about the 27 and gets all the way down around the 15-yard line for a big first down. So again, the Worthy effect here. Before we even go into what the Chiefs are doing, look at the snap here. Everybody underneath is dropping back. Everybody's dropping back. Look at how much room there is underneath if, Brashard Smith's going to go to the flat. Obviously, one thing to always note when you have zone coverage, Mahomes is looking that way, so the coverage is going to be rotated a little bit. So it's not like Smith would be this wide open. If Mahomes turns his head back this way, everyone's going to shift a little bit more back over to the side he's looking. But in any case, got real off coverage. This is, again, a first down, and they're essentially just giving up. If Mahomes wanted like a quick dump off to Juju with the ability to get 5 to 7 yards, that's just there now. They're playing off coverage, and what the Chiefs end up doing, as we saw, so Gray and Juju are running just hitches. Tyquan Thornton is running a post, and Worthy is releasing inside and then trying to run an out. So kind of an out versus like a comeback kind of pattern. So, and that's what you can do when you've been having a lot of success winning down the field. So Mahomes reading to the left side. Worthy actually does a fantastic job here. As he's coming in on the inside and he's going to try to break outside, the corner initially getting kind of turned around by Worthy's move. So Worthy initially stutters outside, then releases inside. So the corner gets spun around here. As he's trying to come and collect himself, Worthy uses that time when the corner's trying to initiate contact to come back outside. And he does a great job. The corner's trying to get his right arm on him, and Worthy just swats the arm, and the corner actually falls right down. That's a great job playing through contact. I know the first thought that some might have is about, is this offensive pass interference? I mean, to me, this is just hand fighting. This isn't like an arm to the chest, extending the arm with, the classic offensive pass interference. This is the defender initiating contact. Worthy is swiping it off with his left arm and does a great job. Defender falls down, but again, this is mainly due to the route that Worthy ran. He chopping his steps, then he comes inside, the corner's not ready for it. Look at, he's completely turned around. And Worthy's timing here is so nuanced. As the corner's trying to overcorrect, come back to him, makes his break outside, wide open. But there's so much fear now of Worthy winning deep that he's able to do this. Just break to the outside, big catch, and again, explosive play for the Chiefs. From the end zone cam, you see Mahomes starting with looking down the middle. Then he sees Worthy, sees him break out. I mean, this is just easy, wide open, but really good route running from Worthy here to make that one happen. We pick things up with 5:46 to go in the third quarter. The Chiefs are up 27-13 at this point, and they have a third and about 2 at the Baltimore 43-yard line. Mahomes is in the shotgun. He's got 2 to his right, 2 to his left. Kareem Hunt is with him. Xavier Worthy goes on in motion toward the left, and Mahomes hands it off to Kareem Hunt, who gets a gain of about 7 and a first down on 3rd and 2. So what are the Chiefs doing here? Again, they're in 11 personnel. This time, Kareem Hunt, the running back. Noah Gray is the tight end. 1 running back, 1 tight end gets you 11. And Mahomes motions Worthy over to the left, and if you look, the entire Ravens second level shifts with it, kind of giving you a zone look, but here this is really an RPO for Patrick Mahomes, right? He can either hand this ball off to Hunt here, or he can keep it and he can just dump the little bubble off to Worthy with 2 blockers in front of him. In this case, Worthy's motion, what it does is it shifts this defender out of the box and moving in this direction. So you really only have 6 box defenders here. So we've got 6 to block, 6 box defenders. We've got a light box. So Mahomes takes the option to hand this off, and the Chiefs just run right at him. Nothing special here. Just block it up. Kingsley get to the second level. But this defender over here, the linebacker, because of his mirroring Worthy's motion, kind of runs himself out of the play. By the time he's able to adjust, Hunt is already well beyond the first down marker. So the gravity of Worthy here and the threat of this bubble does enough to lighten the box, and so you really only have 6 defenders that have an opportunity to get involved in the run game. The Chiefs are able to block them up and get an easy first down on 3rd down. So as you can see, Worthy's gravity is felt in many ways. It's not just about the fact that you get him the ball and he gets downfield, but he makes defenses adjust in a way that no other Chiefs player has to this point this year. Rashee Rice, when he comes back, will create adjustments as well, but Worthy's ability to open up the field for more underneath plays and just punish teams that don't take account for his speed really opens up the Chiefs' offense in ways that allows them to function. When teams kind of had the clamps on them early in the year, they didn't have any easy buttons, any answers to get out of it. Worthy is the creator of that for this offense right now. Now that he's able to spread things out, the Chiefs have easier answers underneath and in the run game, and that should just help them diversify the offense going forward.